There's a video that's going around on Twitter from investigative journalist, I believe Michael Schellenberger, um, and he's talking about a current test case for essentially the next phase of a global crackdown by military intelligence forces. And I think that this is an important video. I know that, for example, a lot of my viewership, it's all over the world. And so I try to cover things, I try to cover things for everybody. I think I guess what I'm saying is I think it's really important to look at what's happening in other spots of the world, especially because it comes here, right? We see all this crazy hate speech stuff that's, was over on in the UK and Canada and all this. And then now it's here in the United States. It always, travels over here. There are test cases. And so we're going to take a look at this next phase of a global crackdown because I think it's, well, quite frankly, pretty frightening. After a super quick word from this video sponsor. So, Schellenberger says Ireland is the test case for the next phase of the global crackdown by military intelligence. And he's got this video here, which we're going to go through. It's just 2 minutes long. Hopefully the music he chose was fair or copyright free, but we'll see.
Sounds like a Black Mirror episode. The police can enter your home unannounced, search your phone and computers, and arrest you for the things that you're reading, watching, or posting online.
This is not a uncommon thing. We've seen this happening. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but in the UK, if you don't pay your stupid TV license, they can come into your house and steal your stuff to pay the bill. They can reclaim enough valuable property from your house to pay your bill to pay. They steal your stuff to settle the debt. I could be at times guilty of underestimating just how bad things are here in the United States, because a lot of this stuff is already happening here. I mean, just look what they did to the people that dared to trespass on the 6th of January.
If you refuse, you could be sentenced to 12 months in prison. But it's not a Black Mirror episode. It's worse than that. It's real life. At this very moment, the government of Ireland is trying to pass a law before Christmas that will let the police go into people's homes and confiscate their phones and computers. Now, you might think Ireland doesn't matter, that it could disappear tomorrow without much impact. But
Who the heck thinks that? Shout out Ireland.
Ireland does matter. It's the test case for the next phase of the global crackdown by military and intelligence forces and their agents that's been happening over the last 7 years. What they used to call a conspiracy theory has now been confirmed as true. Our research has exposed a far-reaching plan by military and intelligence agencies in the United States, Britain, and other nations to subvert the democratic process and engage in activities that have a basis in military techniques and which are tantamount to attempts at thought control.
We already know. What does this look like in the United States? Well, this looks like them infiltrating every major tech company at the highest levels. Go ahead and look at the LinkedIn for like Facebook, Google, YouTube, Instagram, and see how many former CIA and FBI agents are just publicly on the books there. Now think about the ones that are not on the books, like the ones we found in the Twitter files and the Facebook files, right? And that's just what they let us see. Just look at how many of these individuals were quietly, infringing on Americans' First Amendment rights at Facebook and Twitter and other places. Right?
This isn't about censoring the far right. This is about censoring independent journalism. And if you're in Ireland, this is about censoring you. One understandable response to all this is to ignore it and hope it goes away, or wish that it won't affect you.
Oh, but
maybe
it will.
It won't. But our ancestors fought and died for the right to speak our truths, particularly about controversial cultural and political issues. And already we're fighting back and making progress. The Irish government was forced to back off this law once already, and we can make them back off again. Free thinkers in the United States and around the world must stand up now for Ireland. We have to fight the totalitarians over there so that we don't have to fight them over here.
Well, they're here already in a lot of ways. But the idea that they can, yeah, you can go look up COINTELPRO. You can look up all sorts of things. We know that, you know, narrative shifts are happening. We also know, you know, here in the United States, I think this is why sites like Rumble are so important. This is why I do my daily show on Rumble every single day from 1 to 3 Eastern. Is because fighting for free speech and employing whatever particular tools you might be able to deploy or employ is so incredibly important. You know, it's so incredibly difficult to reach people who even just want you to reach them, right? The people that I want to reach out to, the people that I want to talk to, 1.1 million people on YouTube alone, barely 100,000 of them see my videos when I upload them. Now, I know lots of people, you know, move on and they don't necessarily go and unsubscribe. They just don't watch your videos, all this kind of stuff. But the police state here in the United States is right there out in the open. Again, I ask, you know, look at what they did to the people that they deemed inconvenient politically. You know, people like Owen Schroyer. They put that kid in prison, never even stepped foot in the Capitol. Okay? Didn't mind all those pro-Palestinian people throwing paint and damaging property at the Capitol, though. Didn't mind the insurrection that happened in Madison. Didn't mind the insurrection that happened in Nashville. Not a single arrest, not a single family ruined by the FBI from what I've seen.
We need to send a message to the politicians and the police that the world stands with the people of Ireland and their first and fundamental right. Please share this message.
I'm doing that.
Consider donating to a special free speech fund at censorshipindustrialcomplex.org.
Well, I don't know about donating any money. I suppose if people want to do that, they can. I always am very cautious. I'm protective of my viewers when it comes to donations and things of that nature because, you know, most of the time these things end up as a, you know, black hole. The so-called hate speech bill isn't what it seems. It's not a bill about protecting Irish people from hate crimes. It's a Trojan horse designed to control the world's big tech companies, Twitter, X, Facebook, Google, and YouTube. This is a free speech emergency. We thought this legislation was gone, dead, and it's not. The Irish government is using recent riots as an excuse to ram the legislation through before Christmas. You know, I think, you know, ultimately, this is a big deal, right? This is, you know, I'm not going to pretend that I'm some sort of freedom fighter sitting here with pita chips and Mio waters in my desk, you know, here in Wisconsin. But I will say that, you know, I'll continue to signal boost and inform, fight back against this stuff. And the way I do that is by embracing new technology, new platforms. Long before I ever had to deal with Rumble, I was, you know, on BitChute, Odyssey, VidMe, if you remember that. Even that one site that burnt up in like a very short period of time, Storyfire. Any platform that exists, Minds, you know, Truth, Gab, I'm on all of them. That's how I fight back because they're less likely to be as easily controlled. This is not a drill. This is not about Ireland. This is a totalitarian effort by global elites to censor all of us. It's right there in black and white. Quote, one of the key features of the bill, right, two attorneys with a leading Irish law firm, quote, is the provision for offenses by corporate bodies. How could big tech companies avoid censorship? You guessed it, by agreeing to the regulation of their content by the government. The current iteration of the bill provides a defense for the corporate body to show that it took all reasonable steps and exercised due diligence to avoid the commission of a particular offense. Therefore, to establish and maintain such defense, companies will need to have the appropriate processes and procedures in place. The Irish government is almost certainly not acting alone. As my colleagues and I have reported, the demand for censorship is coming directly from the militaries, intelligence agencies, and their front groups in the United States, the United Kingdom, and around the world. The intelligence communities of the Five Eyes nations, US, UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, have been working together to censor ordinary citizens and politicians alike for disfavored speech for the last several years. This is not a time to mince words. What governments are doing is against the law. They are violating our constitutions of the nations that the people elected them to uphold. Because of the high level of secrecy they are using, we can't say whether or not they are rogue elements within governments or whether these orders are coming from heads of state. But we do know that demands for censorship have come both directly from the United States military and from heads of state in Western nations around the world. What's happening should terrify all freedom-loving people. We must fight back. It starts with recognizing what's going on. So there's some other free speech leaders worth following here. Ben Scalin, I'll follow him. Free Speech Ireland, I'll follow them. This is nuts. This is nuts, and this is not just Ireland, right? This is coming everywhere. It's going to be a scary time, especially this election year. Please share this video, share the message, and let people know.